I thought I would do a short video on how I do my thumb. I haven't woven in the ends yet, as you can see, but this is a mitt I've recently designed and will be releasing shortly. If this video is already up, then I've already released it. So it's called the Kevadine mittens. They're fingerless mittens. I'll just put this one on so you can see how it looks. So it's just, yeah. It's just my take on my, kind of love of all things Estonian and all the neat knits. So I've got a tulip design, a motif. I have just a little flower bud kind of design, and then an Estonian braid right there, the green, and then just a nice cuff that hit the bottom. So to do the thumb, this isn't a gusset thumb. It's a thumb that you do, I've heard it called a bunch of different things. When I first started knitting, it was just, this is how you do your thumb. But now people are calling it a afterthought thumb. So anyway, I figured to make sure that there's no confusion or no issues, I figured that I would show you guys just on a quick video on how I do them. So as you can see, the way that I designed it, the thumb follows the rest of the pattern in the mitten. And to do that, this is my right hand mitt. As you can see, the magic of blocking is very perceptible. I was not someone who thought blocking did much, but I definitely see it in, and I don't have my ends weaved in, but I learned my lesson there too. I weave in my ends after I block them. But yeah, you can definitely tell the difference with how it looks when you're doing color work, blocked versus not blocked. So this is for my right hand. So my thumb is here. So I have it on a waste yarn. And the way I also have a video link in the pattern, so if that helps, you can also check that one out. But for now, I'm just going to do this quickly for you. So the red is the scrap yarn, and so what I do is I just put the bottom. You see how you can see the stitch going up? I'm just going to look at the mitt instead of my camera. So this is the first stitch, and then you just go along and pick up. Until I've seen some recent videos, I used to just take out the yarn and pick it up. But I can see how that might freak some people out, because you don't want to drop stitches, obviously. So and one more, I think. There we go. So this is the bottom of the thumb. On the other side of the red, that's the back of the thumb. That's what I called it. Maybe the inside of the thumb would be a better way of saying it, but anyway. So now I'm gonna go along and do the same thing. It's not easy doing it this way, but I think in the long run this is better, because then you don't have to worry about dropping stitches. There. Right? So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Perfect. So my intent was to have 14 stitches because using very small needles. I think these are a 2mm needle, if I remember correctly. If it's not, I'll put something at the bottom and let you know. So yeah, I don't know, like, I find the thumb fits me just right, because once you tie everything together and do the color work and then the blocking, I find it does shrink up a bit, and I've had some experiences where my thumb just ends up being too tight. So this is, for me, this is just right, and my thumbs aren't particularly big, so there you are. So now what we do is we can start knitting, but I prefer to take out this thread because what I also do sometimes, I don't always write it in just because it's my own personal preference and I'm not sure if everybody else is into this or not, but I will, when I'm doing the thumb needle, when I'm doing the thumb, when I'm starting it off and I'm doing just the first row, round of the thumb, I usually will pick up a couple of stitches on either end here, and then on the first and the second rows I'll decrease them out. I just find it helps to have just a more comfortable thumb, and not so tight on the thumb pad. Because sometimes I find that can happen depending on the thread, depending on the pattern. So yeah, so I kind of tend to do that on my own. I'm not sure if I'm doing this right. I'm sure some people, you know, have their own preferences. I kind of just learned how to do stuff like this on my own years and years ago, before even YouTube existed. So I just, yeah, got into these habits, good or bad. Yeah, so if you find that this video helps, great. I hope it does. Because I don't feel that this particular pattern, that a gusset thumb would look all that nice. Only because gusset thumbs, they look really nice for mittens where the pattern is kind of more of a, well, you've seen those Selbu mittens. So the thumbs, the gussets, have their own pattern worked into the rest of the pattern of the mitt. And they can look quite nice and quite pretty. But I've noticed for myself, whenever I do fingerless mittens, if I do a gusset thumb, the thumb tends to kind of stick out quite a bit on the side right here, and I don't know, I find it looks funny. I like how it kind of just blends in with the rest of the mitt like this, and especially with this particular design, I thought it would look better. But you know, to each their own. That's just my preference. If you prefer the gusset, if you're more comfortable with it, you know, go ahead, feel free to do it. I would suggest that you maybe start for the gusset, for the thumb, just after the green color work right here. You probably can't see it too well. So there's some green color work right here with the natural oatmeal kind of color. So once you stop and you start only doing the oatmeal, I would suggest that you start doing the gusset increases for the thumb right here. But, you know, if you're an experienced enough knitter to decide to do a gusset thumb instead of an afterthought thumb, or whatever this particular thumb is called, scrap yarn thumb, then, you know, have at it. Do whatever makes you happy. So yeah, so there you are. It's not the best insofar as this side is concerned, but once you start knitting in the round, it tightens it all up and it looks much better. So let's do that. Part of the problem too, what you're seeing here is just the color change. It's my back of the color work. So again, what I typically will do. The other thing I would also mention is that depending on how you pick up your thumb stitches, they can sometimes be twisted. So just make sure that they're not twisted. I find it makes for a cleaner look. And then just knit along my 14 stitches. Excuse my band-aid finger. I was cooking and accidentally nicked my finger, because that's me. And alright, so this is where I'm talking about. Now typically I would use 3 DPNs here because it just makes it a little bit easier. So I probably should have done this earlier. Sorry, just forget what you're, don't look away. Alright, so now we have the 3 needles for the thumb. And some people get intimidated by using DPNs, but seriously, it's more finicky than anything else. It's not anything that you should feel, you know, worried about. It's just practice and how you hold things in your hands. Alright, so based on where it's looking right here, I'm going to pick up a side stitch right along here. Okay, and then I'm going to continue in the round, and then on my second round I'm going to decrease that. Probably don't have this in the instructions. Again, this is just my own preference. That's why I don't think I put it in there. So if you're reading my instructions and you're looking at this video, don't worry about it. You don't have to do it. I just find, for me, it looks a little neater. Sometimes it can pull a bit, and I find these extra stitches help to minimize that. Alright, so now we're on the back end of the thumb, or inside part of the thumb. It's only finicky because I'm trying to make sure that this is in the camera frame, and so I'm looking up and knitting at the same time. So if it seems like I'm a little goofy in my knitting, that's why. So here we go. It's the color work. I'm just gonna knit. You know, it's all gonna work out once I have this foundation of the thumb established, and it's all gonna be good. Now, some people are super strict with how many stitches you have on each DPN. I really don't care. The only time that it comes in handy is if you're doing color work, because you know where to do certain color work themes. This is just a loose thread. Alright, so I picked up 2 stitches on that side, so now I'm going to pick up 2 stitches on this side of the thumb. Again, optional. Alright, so this first stitch, or this last stitch I should say, so this stitch here, because the thread, this is our starting thread end, I know that's the end of that round. So now I'm going to start the second round. You can always put a marker if it helps. Now I need to start my color work fairly soon, but I'm just going to show you what I do. So those 2 stitches I picked up, I'm just going to decrease them out. I prefer when I'm decreasing thumb stitches like this, because I picked up 2, and you can see how it's kind of pulling a bit, those will kind of straighten out once the thumb is a bit more built. So my preference when I do this is, so you can see these 2 new stitches right here. So I'll do a knit 2 together, just because that'll go that way. And then I'll do an SSK. And that'll go that way. So I have the knit 2 together going this way, and the SSK going that way. It just, I don't know, I find it makes the thumb look a little neater. So that's that. So now I have the base, or the foundation of my thumb. I'm going to probably have to go back a bit and start on the color work bottom of this tulip flower, but I just wanted to show you how you pick up an Afterthought thumb. I hope that was helpful. Happy knitting!